They say the idea of immortality is not about avoiding death. It's about having your life matter to someone else. Have you ever wondered what happens when we close our eyes for the last time? It's a question that has fascinated humanity for centuries, transcending cultures, religions, and philosophies. What happens after death? Is there an afterlife? Is death truly the end, or is there more to existence than what meets the eye? Death is one inevitable truth that unites all of humanity, yet it remains one of the most profound mysteries of existence. Across cultures, religions, and philosophies, the question of what happens after we die has captivated the human imagination for centuries. Around 70% of people worldwide experience some form of fear or anxiety about death, a natural response to the uncertainty of what lies beyond. However, studies show that brain activity can continue for minutes after clinical death, sometimes creating vivid, dreamlike states that could explain near-death visions. So, is death truly the end? Or is there something beyond, an afterlife, reincarnation, or perhaps a continuation of consciousness in some form? As we search for answers, we are confronted with a kaleidoscope of beliefs, scientific theories, and personal experiences that challenge our understanding of life, death, and everything in between. Today, we explore not just the inevitability of death, but the timeless quest to understand what may lie beyond. To begin with, let's explore death through the lens of science. From a biological standpoint, death is the end of life's physical processes. The heart stops beating, the brain ceases to function, and the body eventually decomposes. It's a finality that all living beings must face. Science tells us that consciousness is the product of the brain. When the brain shuts down, so does awareness of the world. But what of the extraordinary experiences many people report during near-death experiences? Stories of individuals who, after being declared clinically dead, come back to life with vivid accounts of moving through tunnels, seeing bright lights, or encountering loved ones who have passed away. Some argue that these experiences are simply the result of oxygen deprivation or chemical changes in the brain. Others wonder if there is more to these stories than we understand. While science cannot yet provide definitive answers on what happens after death, it keeps searching for understanding. But one thing is clear: science has not yet disproven the possibility of an existence beyond the grave. How do religious beliefs shape our understanding of life after death? Throughout human history, religions have provided answers to this ultimate question. In Christianity, believers look to the promise of eternal life. The Bible speaks of heaven and hell, realms where the soul is judged and either rewarded or punished based on one's faith and deeds. For Christians, the hope of an afterlife offers comfort and direction in life. Islam shares a similar belief, with the Holy Quran describing the day of judgment when every soul will stand before Allah to be judged. Those who have lived righteous lives are rewarded with eternal paradise, while those who have strayed from the path of righteousness face eternal punishment. In Hinduism, the concept of reincarnation offers a different view. Hindus believe that the soul is eternal and undergoes cycles of birth, death, and rebirth. One's actions or karma in life determine the circumstances of their next existence. The ultimate goal is to break free from this cycle of reincarnation and attain liberation, known as moksha. Buddhism too teaches of the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, with the end goal being nirvana, the cessation of suffering and the end of the cycle. These religious perspectives offer profound insight on how different cultures imagine life beyond death, helping to guide the lives of millions. Beyond religion, philosophers have long pondered the nature of existence and what might happen after we die. One of the most famous philosophical debates is the contrast between dualism and materialism. Dualists like René Descartes argue that the mind or soul is separate from the body. For them, death might simply be the end of the body, while the soul lives on in another form. Materialists, however, contend that consciousness is a product of the brain, And when the brain dies, so does consciousness, meaning death is the true end. Philosophers also question whether we can truly know what happens after death. Is death a mystery we can ever solve? Or the answer is simply beyond human understanding? In addition to scientific and philosophical perspectives, many people have personal accounts of experiences that seem to suggest life after death is possible. There are countless stories of individuals in moments of clinical death report vivid experiences, visions of family members, a sense of peace, or even a journey through a bright light. These accounts raise questions. Are they just hallucinations, or are they glimpses into an afterlife? Psychology suggests that such experiences may be the brain's way of coping with the fear of death, offering comfort to those facing their own mortality. Yet, for those who experience them, these moments feel real, deeply real. It is a reminder that sometimes personal experiences and beliefs transcend logic and reason. However, we must also consider the skeptical view. Many argue that there is no scientific evidence to support the existence of an afterlife. Death, they claim, is simply the end of consciousness and the beginning of decay. From this perspective, we can only find meaning in the lives as we lead, as life after death is a concept created to deal with a fear and uncertainty. Yet, for all this skepticism, the human desire for meaning remains strong. And so we ask, is it wrong to hope? Is it misguided to seek comfort in the idea that death is not the end? Ultimately, what we believe about life after death affects how we live today. For those who believe in an afterlife, life may seem like a test, a preparation for what comes next. The belief that our actions here matter in the afterlife can encourage individuals to live morally, to love others, and to seek higher purpose. For others, the uncertainty of what happens after death may inspire them to live fully in the present, finding meaning and purpose in the relationships and experiences they have now without the promise of a future life. Notable advocates of the concept of life after death include philosophers such as Socrates and Plato, who believed in the immortality of the soul, and René Descartes, who argued for the separation of the mind and body. In modern times, thinkers like William James, Carl Jung, and Elizabeth Kubler-Ross have explored spiritual and psychological aspects of death. Researchers such as Raymond Moody and Victor Zamet have provided scientific and legal perspectives, while spiritual leaders like Deepak Chopra and Anita Moorjani advocate for a consciousness-based view of life beyond death. Books like Life After Life by Raymond Moody, Proof of Heaven by Eben Alexander, and The Journey of Souls by Michael Newton delve into near-death experiences and spiritual journeys, while classics like the Tibetan Book of the Dead and On Death and Dying by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross explore death's process and aftermath. Fictional works such as The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom and Dying to Be Me by Anita Moorjani offer transformative perspectives. Films like What Dreams May Come, The Sixth Sense, Flatliners, Ghost, and Coco portray the afterlife's mysteries, while The Lovely Bones, Heaven is for Real, and Hereafter reflect on death's emotional and spiritual impact. In the end, the mystery of what happens after death may never be fully understood, and yet, it is this very uncertainty that shapes how we live our lives. Whether we believe in an afterlife, reincarnation, or simply the end of consciousness, the question forces us to confront our mortality and find meaning in the time we have. As we navigate this journey, let us remember the words of the great philosopher Socrates, who said, "Death may be the greatest of all human blessings." It is through awareness of death that we find the value in life, pushing us to live with purpose, compassion, and the desire to leave behind a lasting legacy.